We were just 4 months away from what was supposed to be the best day of our lives, our wedding. Everything was already set in motion. The venue was booked, invitations had been sent weeks ago, and the caterer had recently raised their prices, knowing we were too committed to back out. Still, I was filled with optimism. That morning, I'd closed a major deal at work that came with a generous bonus, enough to pay for our honeymoon twice over. I couldn't wait to tell my fiancée, Anna. My plan was simple: get home early, sweep her off her feet with the news, and surprise her with a weekend getaway. She'd been under a lot of pressure lately, and I thought it'd be a perfect way to reconnect. Around 3 p.m., I pulled into our driveway, excitement coursing through me. That's when I noticed something odd. Ethan's car parked a few houses down. Ethan had been one of my closest friends since high school. He even gave a touching speech at our engagement dinner, so at first I brushed it off. When I stepped inside, the house was unusually quiet. I placed my keys on the counter and called out, "Anna?" No response. I wandered from room to room, eventually making my way to the back patio. That's when I saw them. They weren't touching, but their closeness said everything. Anna's face glowed with a carefree smile I hadn't seen in weeks. Ethan leaned in, his knee barely grazing hers, their bodies angled toward each other with an unmistakable intimacy. I didn't say a word. I quietly stepped back inside, closed the patio door behind me, and sat at the kitchen counter to wait. About 10 minutes later, they walked in together. The second Ethan saw me, his face drained of color. Anna's eyes flicked toward me, her expression shifting as she tried to gauge whether I had just arrived or witnessed everything. "Hey," she said cautiously. "Didn't hear you come in?" "Clearly," I replied, my tone sharp but calm. Ethan stuttered, grabbed his keys, and muttered, "I was just leaving." Without another word, he bolted for the door. I turned to Anna, expressionless. "Sit down." She hesitated but obeyed, sitting at the edge of the couch, her hands trembling. "Explain," I said flatly. Her eyes darted toward the door, maybe hoping Ethan would come back to rescue her. He wouldn't. He never had the courage for confrontation. "It's not what you think," she began, voice quivering. I stayed silent, offering her no escape. "It was a mistake," she finally admitted after a long pause. "How long?" I asked, though I already suspected she was lying. "Just once," she whispered. 2 months ago." "Where?" I pressed. "Here," she said, barely audible. I nodded slowly, keeping my face unreadable. "How long has it really been going on?" Her composure crumbled. Tears streamed down her cheeks as her fingers twisted nervously in her lap. "I swear it was only once," she sobbed. "It wasn't planned. We were drinking, talking, it just happened." I shook my head. "Nothing just happens, Anna. Doors don't open by themselves. People don't fall into bed by accident. You made a choice." Her crying grew louder. "I still love you," she pleaded. "We can fix this." I stared at her, calm and steady, the look of a man who'd already decided. "Thank you for being honest," I said quietly. She blinked, confused. "That's it?" "No," I replied coldly. "Pack your things. You're done here." Her face twisted in disbelief. "You're kicking me out?" "We're engaged. You're throwing everything away over one mistake." "You already did," I said firmly, pointing toward the hallway. 10 minutes. Pack what you need for tonight. The rest I'll handle." She crossed her arms defiantly. "You don't get to talk to me like that." "I'm not talking," I said, stepping closer. "I'm done." Her voice cracked. "You can't erase 5 years over this." I opened the front door. "You already erased them." She didn't move, but I wasn't about to argue. I spoke calmly. "This house, my name is on every document. I paid every bill, every mortgage, every repair. You moved in, but you didn't build this life with me. You only enjoyed it." Her face hardened with bitterness. "So, what? You're some emotionless robot now?" "No," I said evenly. My eyes narrowed. "I'm just not the fool you thought I was." Silence. I didn't follow her as she stormed off to pack. I simply stood by the open door, letting the cold evening air sweep through the room like a quiet cleanse. Minutes later, she walked past me with a duffel bag slung over her shoulder. "You'll regret this," she spat, stepping across the threshold. I met her gaze. "No, Anna. You will." Then I shut the door behind her. That night, I sat at the kitchen table, opened my laptop, and pulled up the security footage. Months earlier, after a package theft, I'd installed cameras, one at the front door, another in the living room. It only took a few minutes to find what I needed. A time-stamped clip from 6 weeks earlier showed Ethan sitting on my couch with Anna straddling his lap, their faces flushed, his lips trailing along her neck. I took screenshots, not explicit, but more than enough to confirm everything. Then I created a group chat titled Wedding Update, Urgent. I added her parents, my parents, our mutual friends, and yes, Ethan's girlfriend, Danielle. I attached the screenshots and typed a single line. "The wedding is cancelled. Anna has been cheating with Ethan in my home. Any questions, ask them. I'm done." I hit send. No dramatic speech, no shouting, just facts. Afterward, I blocked every number that needed blocking. Anna, Ethan, and the mutual friends already choosing sides. By the next morning, I'd hired a locksmith to change the locks. By evening, all of Anna's things were boxed up neatly and left by the curb. She never came back for them. A few days later, her mother called my office, leaving a voicemail labeled urgent, begging for a conversation about the family crisis. I ignored it. That night, I checked my email. 3 new messages, one from Anna, one from Ethan, and one from some concerned mutual friend. Anna's email was chaotic, swinging between apology and accusation. "I know I messed up, but this was private," she wrote. "You humiliated me. My family won't even talk to me. What you did is illegal. I'm contacting a lawyer." Ethan's message was pathetic, full of excuses, half-hearted apologies, and weak pleading. "Man, I didn't mean for this to happen. We were both going through stuff. It just happened. Please don't blow this up more than it needs to be. You're like a brother to me." I forwarded everything to my attorney, Rachel Sandin, a no-nonsense family lawyer a colleague had recommended. She didn't offer sympathy, just strategy. "Stay calm. Stay logical. No emotion," she advised. Her prediction came true quickly. Days later, a letter from Anna's lawyer arrived, demanding half the house's value, a portion of my work bonus, and compensation for emotional distress caused by my group message. Rachel read it with a smirk, then drafted a response that shredded every claim. She cited property law, legal precedent, and the mountain of evidence I'd gathered. Her closing line was brutal. "If your client insists on pursuing this matter, all video, photographic, and written evidence will be filed for public record." Silence followed, but only for a while. A week later, Anna launched a GoFundMe campaign titled Starting Over After Betrayal. In it, she painted herself as the victim, claiming I'd been emotionally abusive, that I destroyed her life over one mistake, leaving her homeless and penniless. She asked for $1,000 to cover legal fees, rent, and living costs. Within days, she'd raised almost $700. I recognized several donors, people who'd toasted us at our engagement party. I didn't react. I remembered Rachel's advice. Strategic, not emotional. So I donated $5 and left a comment with a Dropbox link containing everything: videos, screenshots, lawyer correspondence, and a full timeline of events. My comment vanished within an hour. So I reached out to Danielle, Ethan's now ex-girlfriend, who'd stayed silent since the group message. She answered after 2 rings. "Luke," she said cautiously. Then, after a pause, "Tell me everything." I did. I sent her the Dropbox link. But Danielle didn't just listen, she acted. She was sharp, methodical, and merciless. She shared the link everywhere: social media, group chats, even among Anna's old college circles. Within days, angry comments flooded Anna's fundraiser. People demanded refunds, and the Dropbox file spread like wildfire. By the 3rd day, the fundraiser was deleted. The next morning, Rachel received a short email. Anna's lawyer had dropped her as a client. No explanation given. Soon after, Ethan lost his job. Danielle had sent the Dropbox file to his employer, citing their strict ethics policy. He got no warning, no appeal. Word spread that he'd moved in with his brother 2 towns away. As for Danielle, she blocked him, changed her number, and vanished from his life completely. I didn't have to lift another finger.